students to Sandhan. Today we shall talk about John Dryden. He is one of the most important figures of later half of the 17th century, and he influenced English literature in a very significant way. He is a poet, he is a dramatist, he is a critic, he is a poet journalist. He wrote about current issues, a very important figure for a student of English literature. Today I have with me Dr. Fatima Sugarwala. She is a senior lecturer in Kansagra College, Rajkot, and she has taught English literature for many years. She is a practicing poet also. She writes in English and Marathi. She has published articles and book also. She has done her PhD. At present she is working at Kansagra College. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's so I'm so glad to have you here with us on Sandhan, and students will definitely benefit from your talk. Today we shall talk about John Dryden. His age is shown on the slide, 1631 to 1700. Now these are the years that were very important for England as a nation, English people as society, and English as literature, because so many things were happening during this 70 years or so. And these changes that were taking place during this age impacted England as a nation, English people as society, English literature in a very significant way. For instance, the Cromwell rule and the interregnum of some 18 years or so, when England saw a lot of change. Monarchy was for the first time in England dethroned, and an attempt was made to establish a sort of Commonwealth rule or a Cromwell rule, a government of the people. And then it didn't work, it failed, and Charles II was restored on the English throne in 1660. So this 18 years, for instance, they mark a significant phase in the history of England. When after 1660, when Charles II was restored on the English throne, it was a new society. It marks a clear beginning of a modern society in a sense. The 18 years that passed in between of Cromwell rule, they stand for the end of feudal society that was already collapsing very slowly even during the Renaissance period. But we find a very clear-cut end to this feudal society during this 18 years. And when Charles II was restored on the throne of England, England emerged as a new society. And we find so many changes taking place in English society and in English literature. When we come to Dryden, he is a very, very important writer because he is a critic himself. So he has given his views, his opinions, his criticism of literature in general, about some of the important, we may say, principles of literary criticism. He has written about what is poetry, what is drama, what is the function of poetry, etc. We shall see in detail later on. He is a poet himself. For instance, he wrote his first poem, that is Astra Redux, which was a panegyric in praise of King Charles II, who was restored on the throne of England in 1660. Earlier, Dryden also tried to write, or he wrote a poem in praise of Cromwell rule. But there he was rather cautious and he was rather restrained. He wasn't sure about the impact, about the real nature of Cromwell rule. But when he writes this panegyric in praise of Charles II, he is in full form and he praises King Charles II in in the fullest manner possible. So that shows us the kind of society that that Dryden was writing in. Then he writes in Annus Mirabilis, that literally means years of miracles. That was the year, that is 1666, when Great Fire of London happened. There was this Popish plot also, the conspiracy of Shaftesbury and others. And Dryden writes a poem about that. He writes about the year, that is a year of miracles.
And even he writes about this great war during that time.
Yeah, yeah.
In this particular poem, Annus Mirabilis.
Yeah.
He has
that
very
refers
beautifully described the horrors of the war.
Horrors of the war. Yeah. So that is why we call him a poet journalist. That is, literature for the first time in England was acquiring a new dimension, a dimension that we today call journalistic.
Yeah.
A tendency to comment on the issues that were of interest to people in general. So current affairs. He was for the first time
This was
commenting
for the first
on that.
time, yeah.
So
And
that is
he-
a new chapter added to English
And he
literature.
used his poetic genius to explain this social and political issues. He discussed them through his poetry.
Yeah, through his poetry. So poetry became relevant to society. There is that sense of commitment to society that was earlier not present in
Yeah.
English literature, for instance. Earlier there was commitment or that desire to comment on society, but that commentary, that criticism was moralistic and not socialistic. During this period we find this
And
tendency
criticism that time was considered to be a separate body from art.
from art. Yeah.
Okay.
These people, that is the Dryden and other writers of the Restoration period, they achieved this unification of criticism and literature. And literature now became relevant to society, reflecting the concerns, the issues, the worries, the problems of the society.
Society.
So that was a new beginning that we find. For instance, in Johnson we have that awareness to reform society, but that desire for reform is moralistic. He wants to reform society morally. Now we have a different dimension of literature. These people, they also, for instance, in Restoration comedy, we find this, that the tone is of ridicule. The tone is of ridicule, and whatever, as it is rightly said, whatever we held to ridicule, we held to correct.
And this is the age where satire actually sets in.
Satire flourished like anything.
Yeah.
And we shall see in later poems of Dryden also how he wielded satire to achieve his own purpose.
Yeah. His age of satire begins with Achitophel and Absalom and Achitophel.
Achitophel. Yeah, that was the beginning of a great age of satire.
Yeah.
Then later on we have Pope, Alexander Pope, for instance, and we have
Jonathan
Swift. They were
Of course,
great
Jonathan
satirists.
Swift was already existing when
yeah.
Dryden started writing.
But his satirical vein we find during this period.
Yeah.
So society and literature became intertwined. They were no longer different. They were no longer separate. They became one. Literature was directly commenting upon, not only reflecting, but directly commenting upon society and social happenings, political happenings. So this asteroid redux is an example of that. Later on we shall see again Dryden comments about the political happenings of the time, and sometimes he has been accused of being a time server, that he keeps changing his side. Sometimes he praises Charles II, and when James came on throne, he converted himself to Catholicism, and there was a lot of criticism.
Because he's basically a royalist.
Yeah, he is basically a royalist. And ironically, Fatima Ben, his parents were parliamentarians. They were supporters of Cromwell rule. But Dryden is completely different from both of them, both the parents, and he was a royalist. So when James came on throne, he converted himself to Catholicism because James was Catholic, and we find this.
We can move to this.
Yeah, we can move to this slide. The four great works on which the reputation and fame of Dryden as a poet rests, as a satirical poet rests, are Absalom and Achitophel,
Yes.
MacFlecknoe, The Hind and the Panther, and The Medal. These are the four poems on which his fame chiefly rests. He has written so many other poems also. He has written so many dramas also. We shall see in detail later on. But his fame is basically as a satirical poet. His fame rests on these four important works. The first one, Absalom and Achitophel, is an allegory, and he uses the rebellion of Absalom against King David as the basis for this, for discussion of the background to the Monmouth rebellion and the Popish plot and the exclusion crisis. Those who are familiar with the history of the period, they must have come across these terms: Popish plot, rebellion, etc. There was a strong rumor in around say 70s that the Catholics are trying to assassinate Charles II, and then so many it creates such an uproar in English society, and there was so much worry about the safety of Charles II.
There was
And then-
always a controversy between the Protestants and the Catholics, during
yeah.
those periods
Yeah,
of
yeah,
time, you know.
Yeah, and this was the Popish plot refers to that and the Pope wants to assassinate Charles II, and he has assigned this work to some people who are very close to Charles II, and his wife, Charles II's wife, was involved in it, or she was accused of being in a way connected to this. So there was so much. Then of course later on it was found that it was all a handiwork of Shaftesbury. There was no such thing as a conspiracy, Popish conspiracy or Popish plot. But this current political situation is very well allegorically depicted in Absalom and Achitophel.
One of the things Absalom achieved was that he kind of inspired the readers that Lord Shaftesbury and his friends are not to be trusted.
Yeah.
This poem came out with that particular outcome, you see.
That purpose. It served the purpose in
Yeah,
that
it
sense.
served the purpose.
So, use of allegory. Earlier, also many poets and dramatists have used allegory, which is a very handy tool for writers to present a subject in a very effective manner. Allegory has always been used. So, Absalom and Achitophel is in that sense a political allegory that comments on the political scenario of the time. Another poem, MacFlecknoe, gives us a completely different picture of Dryden. It is a mock heroic poem in which Dryden directly satirizes. He attacks Thomas Shadwell. Shadwell was another famous poet of the time, and
He was also a playwright, and
he was also a playwright also.
and he abused his poetry. You know?
Yeah, he abused poetry. So there was a constant sort of row between the two great writers, and there were some literary differences between them that they wanted to in a sense
Resolve
win
them,
over
you
the other, and some of them are there dispute about the genius of Johnson. Shadwell was a great admirer of Johnson, and Shadwell believed that Dryden was not so much an admirer of Johnson. Of course, that was not the truth, that we shall see later on when we come to the critical part of Dryden's work. Then Dryden's preference for comedy of manners and of Shadwell for humorous comedy, that is comedy of humors, popularized by
Ben
Dr.
Jonson.
Ben Jonson. And Dryden wrote himself a couple of comedy of manners or restoration comedy, as we also call it. And then purpose of comedy, there was a lot of debate about the purpose of comedy. Why do we write why should one write comedy? The intention of comedy, is Johnson said, is to mix profit with pleasure, etc., etc. And then there were allegations of plagiarism that Dryden said that Shadwell borrowed from others without even acknowledging it. So plagiarism was a great allegation hurled against each other during the period. So this poem gives us an insight into the literary quarrel between the two great
writers,
personalities, great writers of the period. And then the Hind and the Panther. We shall not go in detail regarding this, but earlier, as I suggested, James, after James's accession to English throne, Dryden converted to Catholicism, and this poem, The Hind and the Panther, is an attempt to praise the new king and Catholic Church, where Catholic Church, as I have mentioned in the slide, appears as a milk-white hind, immortal and unchanged, and the Church of England as a panther. And there are so many other sects, other religious ideologies presented in the poem, and they are all treated allegorically. So this was a very brief introduction to Dryden as a poet, because we